All right, let's talk about something huge. If you're building with AI, you are handling the new gold, data. But that comes with a massive, massive responsibility to keep it safe. Today, we're going to dive deep into one of the most critical and honestly most overlooked dangers in AI development: prompt leakage and data exfiltration.
This right here, this is the mantra for today's explainer. It's simple, it's direct, and it is absolutely essential. Because just one leak of sensitive data, whether that's your customer's personal info or your company's secret sauce, well, it can be catastrophic. The stakes really couldn't be any higher.
So before we can even start to build our defenses, we have got to understand the threat. We need to be crystal clear on what we're up against. So what exactly is prompt leakage?
Okay, I want you to think of your AI system like a set of pipes. You pour data in one end, that's the prompt, and you get a result out the other. Well, prompt leakage is what happens when those pipes have holes. It's the accidental, unintentional exposure of sensitive data that you've put into a prompt, or that gets stored in a log file, or that even somehow comes back out in the AI's response. It's a quiet threat, but it's incredibly dangerous. Now that we know what it is, we need to figure out where it happens. This isn't just one single point of failure. There are a few key areas where your data is most exposed, most at risk.
So I want you to think about your own applications for just a second. Where does all that user data go? Where do you send your prompts? Let's pinpoint the exact hotspots where that data is most vulnerable to leaking out.
Here they are, the big three. First up, logs. For debugging and monitoring, we log pretty much everything, including the user prompts. So just imagine a customer support bot. A user types, "Hey, my order hasn't arrived. My address is 123 Main Street." If that prompt, with all that personally identifiable information that's PII, stuff like names, emails, addresses, gets saved to an unsecured log, you've just created a goldmine for attackers. Second, third-party models. Look, when you send data to an external API, you lose control. Is that data being used to train their next model? Who has access to it? It's basically a black box, and you need to be really wary of that. And finally, browsing and tools. If your AI can browse the web, it could accidentally paste sensitive data from its prompt straight into a search query or an API call, basically broadcasting it to the world.
Okay, that was the scary part. But here is the good news. We are not helpless here, not at all. There is a powerful set of strategies and tools we can use to plug these leaks and lock down our systems. This is your defensive playbook.
This is a really crucial shift in our mindset, right? We're moving from just identifying the problems to actively building the solutions. So let's get tactical.
Here are your 4 essential lines of defense. Step 1 is redaction. This basically means automatically finding and stripping out sensitive data before it even gets into the prompt. Step 2, allow lists. Instead of letting your AI just roam the entire internet, you give it a pre-approved safe list of websites and tools it's actually allowed to talk to. Step 3, output filters. Think of this as your checkpoint on the way out. It scans the AI's response to make sure no sensitive data is accidentally leaking out. And finally, step 4, an enterprise no training policy. This is so important. It means you have a formal, legally binding agreement with your model provider that guarantees your data will never be used to train their future models. Now, these tools are incredibly effective, but they work best when they're guided by a core philosophy. Think of these as the fundamental rules of the road for any secure AI development. These principles are so simple, but they're incredibly powerful. First, minimize PII. The safest data is the data you never collect in the first place. Simple as that. If the AI doesn't need it, don't feed it. Second, sanitize all inputs and outputs. This is the zero trust approach. You have to assume any data coming in or going out could be a risk until you've cleaned it. And third, prefer private gateways. Whenever you can, use models that are hosted in a private, controlled environment. It just gives you so much more security than a public API ever could. Let's be perfectly clear on this. In today's world, these aren't just, nice-to-haves or best practices. They are foundational, non-negotiable requirements for building responsible, trustworthy, and secure AI. Your users' trust and your company's entire integrity depend on it. And that really brings us to our final thought. I want you to take what we've talked about today and apply it to your own work. Look at your systems with fresh eyes. Have you truly built a secure vault for your data? Or are there small, unseen cracks that are turning it into a sieve? The answer to that question is going to define the future of your project. Thanks for joining me.